After crossing the world of cultivating immortals, Jiangcheng discovered that he did not have much talent in cultivation, but was unexpectedly talented in making talismans. Buyer. Senior Brother Jiang, I need some talismans for self-defense. Jiang Cheng. This fireball spell is very suitable for you. A few days later. Buyer. Brother Jiang, why is your fireball technique not quite right? Jiang Cheng. Is there a fire? Buyer. It did burn. Jiang Cheng. Where's the ball? Buyer. I did see it. Jiang Cheng. Are you defending yourself? Buyer. Lost. Jiang Cheng. Jiang Cheng. Then you come. Buyer. I want to buy another 1 billion copies. This book is also known as The Expansion of Gate Rules. Starting from the talismans I painted, the culture of cultivating immortal realms is not caused by me, crossing through, and being forced to defend innocence. Speaking well of fireball art, how can it be the fire of dry wood and burning fire, who will fall in love after drawing all the talismans? Keywords of the novel. The runes I draw must be disabled without pop-ups. The runes I draw must be disabled. Download the complete TXT collection, and the runes I draw must be disabled for reading the latest chapters. Chapter 1. I really didn't want to travel. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 1. I really didn't want to travel. The day before the game, Immortal God, was launched, the entire project team was busy with a pot of popcorn. Everyone's nerves are highly tense and could explode at any moment. It's already late at night, and the office building is still brightly lit. The program department is busy fixing bugs, the engine department is busy optimizing, the art department is still rushing to draft, and the secretary in black silk from the president's office has gone to the front desk 3 times, asking why the water delivery person hasn't arrived yet, and the teapot is about to burst amidst the hustle and bustle of life and competition. There was a person playing a game alone in the window seat of the back row of the planning department. This person's name is Jiang Cheng, a numerical planner in the planning department of the Immortal God project team, whose job is to balance the intensity of various game mechanisms in the game. At this moment, he seems to be playing games, but in fact, he hasn't done any work at all. Unlike his colleagues who crammed on the spot, Jiang Cheng completed his work early. At present, it is for the sake of internal unity within the company that I stay at the workstation to work overtime. Don't play games, do you work? Jiang Cheng controls the characters in Immortal God, shuttling through various scenes of the Immortal God, sometimes starting battles, sometimes purchasing items, and finally testing the balance of the game. The story of Immortals takes place in a world of overall peace. In this world, the 5 immortal sects rule the realm of cultivation, and long-term peace has brought immortality into the mortal world, accompanying the development of mortal civilization to modern times. Players can choose to enter the 5 immortal gates through exams and embark on the path of cultivating immortals. You can also choose to be an ordinary person, studying for the college entrance examination, buying a house and getting married, fishing and farming, and living an ordinary life. Yo! Brother Jiang! Are you playing? A person in a suit walked behind Jiangcheng with their hands on their back. Jiangcheng too didn't lift his head and pointed to the sign on the wall, saying, Mr. Wang, don't make too much noise at the workstation, otherwise a fine of 200 will be imposed. Generally speaking, rules are for employees, not leaders. But Mr. Wang just smiled and didn't take Jiang Cheng's offense seriously. Everyone in the company knows Jiang Cheng's temper. He is a polite, kind, but particularly reasonable guy. This kind of behavior towards others may be due to low emotional intelligence and lack of adaptability. But when it comes to numerical planning, it is a rare and excellent quality. If the values and mechanisms of the game are unreasonable and you like to mess around, then the game is likely to come to an end. Jiang, accompany Xiao Wang out and order a mosquito-repellent incense. Line. Jiangcheng decided to give Xiao Wang face, but as soon as he stood up, his eyes suddenly turned black. Jiangcheng felt the sunlight was a bit dazzling, as if the sun was in the distance, a vast expanse of white, and nothing could be seen. The gentle breeze brushed against my cheeks, itchy and comfortable. The heaviness and fatigue of the body gradually dissipated, and the shoulders, neck, waist, and back no longer felt sore. The whole body is relaxed, breathing is smooth, and muscles are strong. Jiang Cheng has an illusion that he seems to have been reborn and returned to the age of 18. As his eyes gradually adapted to the environment, Jiang Cheng worked hard to open them and saw a young girl wearing a pure white dress. Behind her was a rising sun hanging in the sky. In the early morning sunshine, the girl's hair and skirt swayed with the wind, her pure face, graceful figure, clear and shy eyes, her cheeks as red as the sunset, her delicate hands gripping the corners of her clothes, and a timid and delicate posture, it was incredibly beautiful. Why is the sun so big? Jiangcheng was born in a rural area, with flat land and elegant houses. He has also seen many sunrises. In his memory, the sun is not that big and should be smaller than it is now. What's going on? Advance helium flash. So what about planetary engines? At first, no one cared about this disaster. Senior Brother Jiang, Yao Er is only 16 years old. Upon hearing the girl's voice, Jiangcheng's thoughts that had spread into space reluctantly returned to the ground. The girl in front of me is very beautiful, almost the most beautiful person I have seen in Jiangcheng and Shanghai for over a decade. However, Jiangcheng always felt that she was very familiar, as if she had seen her somewhere before. It wasn't until a strange memory emerged in his mind that Jiang Cheng realized that he had traveled through time. Become a dragon suit with the same name as him in the game, Immortal God. The same name dragon suit is not a coincidence, but a Easter egg. Jiang Cheng is one of the planners of Immortal God, mainly responsible for balancing game values. The copywriters who write the storyline often don't bother to name them, so they use the names of acquaintances. Colleagues have long been accustomed to it. Jiangcheng doesn't know much about the plot, he only remembers a rough idea. If Jiangcheng remembers correctly, Long Tao Jiangcheng is a pitiful licking dog character in the storyline of Lin Yao. He likes Lin Yao, but he has been hanging on by her, constantly giving her time, energy, and money, and in the end, he never even touched her hand. You don't even have to wait until the later stages of the plot, but in the early stages, this Long Tao Jiangcheng has already been wiped clean by Lin Yao, disappearing from the crowd and never appearing again. Lin Yao is a female lead with an independent storyline in the game Immortal Goddess. The appearance is pure and beautiful, but it is a natural charm. In the early stage, there is no cultivation, and talent is not shown. Later, he was discovered by the elders of the Hehuan sect and converted to Meigong, becoming famous overnight. In short, she is a future demon witch. Under the worldview of immortal gods, the 5 immortal sects represent justice, and everyone in the demon realm shouts and fights. Getting too close to the demonic witch is not only troublesome and dangerous, but also easy to be named by the righteous immortal sect, thus becoming a blacklist of the righteous and cutting off the path to immortality. Jiangcheng neither likes trouble nor danger. We need to find a way to stay away from the witch. Jiang Cheng thought silently. Senior Brother Jiang, Yao Er only wants to be ordinary friends with Senior Brother now. Really. Other things, when Yao Er grows up. Then you make a written statement. Jiang Cheng took out a pen and paper from the storage bag and handed it to Lin Yao. He was originally thinking about how to get rid of the relationship with the demonic cult witch. After all, according to character design, Lin Yao is a difficult guy who is also good at confusing the pure-hearted male cultivator's mind. He didn't expect it to be solved so easily. Li Ziju. What Ziju? Lin Yao was clearly confused by Jiangcheng's words and actions. He deliberately invited me to the park to watch the sunrise, not to confess, but to establish a written record. Is this a new trick? Judging from his usual performance, He should be a down-to-earth and honest male cultivator, unlike the type who knows how to use routines. Jiang Cheng put a pen and paper into Lin Yao's hand and said seriously, "It's not something complicated. Just write down your sentence on paper, sign it, and press your fingerprint." What did I say just now? The phrase, ordinary friend. Lin Yao suddenly realized. He turned out to be jealous because of our distant relationship. Among Lin Yao's many pursuers, although Jiangcheng is not the most outstanding one, it is still quite good. He is quite tall and has a sunny and handsome appearance. The most important thing is good academic performance, and it is very likely to be admitted to a key university in Xianmen. After graduation, he entered the 5 great immortal gates and became an inner disciple, further advancing his cultivation skills. Lin Yao doesn't want her favorite senior brother Jiang to leave her casually. With a gentle lotus step, Lin Yao flew to the side of Jiangcheng like a graceful butterfly. She stood playfully, pinching the corner of Jiangcheng's clothes with her little hand, and coquettishly said, "Senior brother Jiang, didn't Yao mean that?" Few people in the world can withstand the anger and coquettishness of a beautiful girl. But Jiangcheng just frowned and said in his heart, "This witch doesn't plan to go back on her word, does she?" End of this chapter. Chapter 2. Lingquan. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 2. Lingquan. Men and women are not compatible in giving and receiving. Please take it seriously, junior sister. Jiangcheng swept away Lin Yao's small hand, then took a step back to draw a line with her, and even shook his sleeve, seeming to dislike Lin Yao touching his clothes. Lin Yao widened her eyes slightly and looked at the smooth movements of Jiangcheng in astonishment. Ordinary male cultivators spend countless spiritual stones just to get closer to her, and they dream of kissing her. Why does Jiangcheng seem to dislike her very much? The estrangement of Jiangcheng made Lin Yao feel a bit overwhelmed with pride. He can't possibly dislike me. It's just a reckless pursuit after a failed confession. Due to her beautiful appearance since childhood, Lin Yao never lacks suitors. She has seen many, various male cultivators. Although she is not very old, her emotional experience is far beyond that of ordinary people. There are many male cultivators who have a bit of self-esteem, or those who have some means, who will play a game of hard to get after a failed confession. After watching too much, Lin Yao naturally summarized a set of coping strategies. With just a slight gesture, she can feel the emotional limits of Jiangcheng. Yao doesn't mean that senior brother Jiang definitely doesn't have a chance. With senior brother Jiang's grades, it will be easy to get into a key university. Yao plans to go to Qingxian University, why don't senior brother also consider it? When it comes to university, Yao wants to find a Taoist couple, so she will definitely consider senior brother first. After Lin Yao finished speaking, her beautiful eyes sparkled as she looked towards Jiangcheng. She has absolute confidence in herself, and no one can refuse her. Draw pancakes. Even dogs won't fall for this low-level trick. After working for more than 10 years, Jiangcheng has eaten too many cakes. I have already felt physiological nausea towards this kind of food. Regardless of whether it's Jesus, God, the heavenly King Laozi, or Li Yunlong, in short, Jiangcheng doesn't believe anyone's bread now. Sister Lin, are you still planning to write this document? Jiang Cheng's tone of asking for the document from Lin Yao was filled with sincerity. Lin Yao held the paper and pen given to her by Jiangcheng in her hand and stomped her feet in anger. Oh my! Senior brother Jiang. Lin Yao didn't understand why her rhetoric wouldn't work for Jiangcheng. A few days ago, she even said this to another male cultivator, coaxing that person around and getting so excited that she was eager to give her all on the spot. Senior brother Jiang, Yao has said that, don't you understand? Lin Yao said unwillingly. She felt that it was because Jiangcheng didn't understand, that she ignored her kindness. Otherwise, it's impossible to explain everything. Jiangcheng frowned and looked at Lin Yao. He didn't understand either. Why is it so difficult for her to write a document to prove that she is an ordinary friend? In terms of Lin Yao's positioning and character design in the game, this kind of beautiful and proud woman from childhood to adulthood will definitely not have any emotional connection with Longtao Jiangcheng. Moreover, she doesn't lack similar licking dogs. Since that's the case, why don't you just let go? Jiang Cheng couldn't figure it out, nor did he plan to. Adults make friends and chat whenever they can, but if they can't, they keep their distance and never talk nonsense. Sister Lin, since you don't plan on writing notes, please return the paper and pen to me. Jiang Cheng. You intentionally did it, right? I'm feeling so uncomfortable now, why don't you come and coax me? You still care about your broken pens and writings. Are they more important than me? Lin Yao looked at Jiangcheng with grievances, her big eyes filled with tears, and she was about to cry. She is already extremely beautiful and has a pure and innocent appearance. Once she feels wronged, she looks like a heartbroken and pitiful person. Jiangcheng Xindao, this is not nonsense. Paper and pen are bought with money, legitimate and legitimate. You can use them as you want. You demon witch will only cause trouble. Why compare yourself to a pen? Lin Yao saw that Jiangcheng had remained silent and motionless for a long time, and immediately wiped away her tears. Yao originally thought that senior brother was a reliable man to rely on, but she didn't expect that senior brother didn't care about Yao's thoughts at all. Anyway, after all, what Yao said, senior brother wouldn't believe it. Senior brother, don't come to find Yao in the future. Lin Yao ran away from the park, and before leaving, she even glanced back at Jiangcheng. That expression was like a lovesick girl deeply hurt by her lover. It seems that as long as Jiangcheng nods, he can win the girl's heart and embrace her to love her freely. Humph. I don't believe it. You can still hold back. Lin Yao noticed the astonishment on Jiang Cheng's expression, and she was convinced that Jiang Cheng had absolutely regretted it at this moment. Based on her understanding of male cultivators, within 3 days, Jiang Cheng will definitely come to her home to apologize. Lin Yao can't wait to see Jiang Cheng give up her dignity and kneel down begging her to change her mind. At that time, she had no intention of easily forgiving Jiang Cheng. She just wants to hang on to Jiang Cheng, watching him plead but not get what he wants, looking angry and frustrated. You should return the pen to me before leaving. Jiang Cheng looked at Lin Yao's back and said weakly. That was a cheap birthday gift from his parents, worth a lot of money. But with a pen, it's not a loss to keep the witch away from me. Jiang Cheng can only comfort himself in this way. The family conditions in Longtao Jiangcheng are not bad. His parents are businessmen and have a company that usually needs to run businesses in various places, so they are not very disciplined towards Jiangcheng. Since middle school, Jiangcheng has been living with Wu Yuecheng's aunt and uncle, as well as a cousin named Sun Yuan. Jiang's father and mother usually don't see anyone, but they still provide enough living expenses for Jiangcheng. But most of them are used by aunts and uncles to improve their lives. Along with his cousin Sun Yuan, they all have the title of rich second generation. The money that ended up in Jiangcheng's hands was enough for his pocket money. This kind of family situation is no different from the protagonist Lu Mingfei in Dragon Clan. The personality of Longtao Jiangcheng is also very similar to that of Lu Mingfei. Weak and introverted, lacking in love and feeling inferior. The dazzling Lin Yao casually sucked at him twice, without giving him any substantial benefits. He was not surprised to become Lin Yao's most loyal licking dog. It is both sad and pitiful. However, these are all past tense, and Zhang's plan is not to be any licking dog. Since he has traveled to the world of immortals, he wants to live a good life as a person. If a mastermind can't even understand the game, then he really becomes the son of those obscure graphic artists in the art department. Setting aside the success or failure of one's career, Jiangcheng never wants to be the son of the art department. Rebuilding the glory of planning, Jiangcheng is undoubted. In the early morning, Wu Yuecheng appeared somewhat desolate, while Jiangcheng was walking on the way home. The roadside supermarket is closed, but many breakfast and convenience stores start operating early. The modernity of the world in Immortals is somewhat different from that on Earth. The biggest difference is that there is no internet. So there are no phones, shared bikes, or anything like that. Jiang Cheng contacted his classmates using a magic weapon called reusable communication symbols. You can reuse the communication symbols in the magic weapon to achieve functions similar to making phone calls and sending text messages. However, the price of using this magic weapon once is not cheap, so it is generally not used frequently if there is nothing to do. Walking on the road, Jiangcheng couldn't help but compare everything he saw now with everything in the game in his memory. In reality, there are definitely more details and buildings, but overall, there is not a big difference. The shops that should be in the game will also appear in corresponding positions in reality. If Jiangcheng remembers correctly, then at the corner of the next intersection, he will see the iconic building of Wuyue City. Wuyue Lingquan Factory. We don't produce spiritual fluids, we are just the porters of nature. This is the iconic advertisement for Wuyue Lingye. The spiritual liquid industry is also one of the pillar industries of Wuyuecheng. Spiritual fluid can help people improve their cultivation, and in this world, it is a hard currency like oil. Wuyuecheng is famous nationwide because the earthquake shook Lingquan. At the corner of the intersection, Jiangcheng stood still in place. In front of him was a wasteland with no Lingquan factory at all. Jiangcheng subconsciously searched for memories in his mind, but as a result, there was no part about Lingquan in his original memory. Is this world actually different from the game? Or Jiangcheng suddenly had a bold guess. The appearance of Lingquan in Wuyuecheng was due to a small earthquake. Ordinary small earthquakes are difficult to shake the houses built by monks, so the only consequence of this earthquake is to bring a spiritual spring to Wuyuecheng. If there hasn't been an earthquake in Wuyuecheng yet, there won't be a spiritual spring. But once an earthquake occurs, Lingquan appears. Jiangcheng has no idea of monopolizing Lingquan. His point of attention lies in the houses near Lingquan. Lingquan will definitely be controlled by the government of Wuyuecheng, but the spiritual energy overflowing from Lingquan cannot be controlled. Once Lingquan appears, the houses near it will definitely skyrocket. It is highly possible for housing prices to double 5 or even 10 times in the short term. End of this chapter. Chapter 3. Plan to buy a house. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 3. Plan to buy a house. Jiangcheng paced around the wasteland. He carefully compared the game's Wuyuecheng with the real-life Wuyuecheng and could basically determine that the place where Lingquan will appear in the future must be within a wasteland. Today's date is June 12, just a few days before the high school entrance examination in the entire Liang country ended. If Jiangcheng's calculations are good, in early September, 3 months later, it will be the time of the earthquake and the appearance of Lingquan, and the day when housing prices soar. After the earthquake, the end of September was the time for the enrollment exams of major universities in Liang country. As long as he can earn a sum of money to buy a house before September and invest in the real estate market around the wasteland, he can earn 10 times the income and comfortably attend the entrance exams of various prestigious schools. Cultivating immortality is an extremely expensive task. Even if Jiangcheng can be admitted to a key university in the Immortals sect and enter the 5 major Immortal sects after graduation, without enough spiritual stones to support him in improving his cultivation, his future path to immortality will still be difficult. Jiang Cheng thought very clearly. Without discussing the future, let's just say that now, a house that is about to skyrocket is in front of him, and he has no reason not to buy it. So the current question is where to get the money from. Ask your parents if it's too realistic. Jiangcheng's family is not poor, but they are not wealthy enough to allow their children to buy a house and play. As the morning approached, the sales offices around the wasteland opened one after another. Jiangcheng circled around the wasteland and roughly understood the prices of houses around it. There are 3 properties for sale around the wasteland. apartment buildings, detached villas, and duplex developments. In terms of price, apartment buildings are the cheapest, followed by duplex properties, and single-family villas are the most expensive. The cheapest apartment has only 2 large and 1 small rooms, covering an area of approximately 40 to 50 square meters. This is still included in the public sharing, and the actual area received is mostly not this number. It is more suitable for single monks to live, with a maximum of adding a girlfriend. As for children and parents, don't think about it. However, even so, apartment buildings are not something that current Jiangcheng can covet. The total price of a single apartment is 32,000 yuan per square meter, with an average of 710 yuan per square meter. Jiang Cheng has a net worth of not even 200 spirit stones. He is a high school student who has just reached adulthood and has no job or social security, making it impossible for him to get a mortgage. If you want to buy a house, you can only pay in full. 32,000 lower-grade spirit stones. Even if Jiangcheng works 3 jobs a day and earns 700 spirit stones a month, it will take 40.6 months to raise enough money for the house. And now he only has 3 months of fundraising time. The pressure is high. It would be great if I were reborn. In this world of immortality and chivalry, there are no lottery tickets or football. Almost all the ways to speculate rely on hard work. It's really difficult to live a down-to-earth life and earn a large amount of spiritual stones in a short period of time. Despite that, Jiangcheng still has no intention of giving up. In his past life on Earth, Jiangcheng watched as his classmates who had just graduated and had taken out loans to buy houses had various financial freedoms. In this life in the world of immortals, he doesn't want to miss out on every house that allows him wealth and freedom. After much thought, Jiangcheng only came up with a way to obtain a large amount of spiritual stones safely and quickly. Borrowing money. In the city of Wuyue, Jiangcheng did not know many friends. Among these few friends, the only one who could be called brother to him was Chao Wang. Chao Wang comes from a good family background, and his parents specifically rented a house for him in Waiweching to help him study with peace of mind. As a result, this kid learned everything except for studying. Chao Wang comes from a wealthy family and never thinks about spending money. He is a master of good money. Rental housing. Chao Wang sat on the bed scratching his ears and cheeks. His mind is now full of Jiangcheng, and he has no intention of sleeping. The 2 brothers speak without hesitation. Chao Wang was very clear about Jiang Cheng's confession to Lin Yao. Because Chao Wang knew how much Jiangcheng liked Lin Yao, he was afraid that Jiangcheng's confession would fail, and he would be hit and unable to recover. But compared to Jiang Cheng's failed confession, Chao Wang is more afraid of Jiang Cheng's successful confession. Immortals need to wash their essence, remove dirt, so their appearance is often not low, especially for beautiful female cultivators. And Lin Yao's appearance is particularly outstanding among a group of beautiful female cultivators. As soon as Chao Wang thought of Jiangcheng's successful confession and the opportunity to be intimate with Lin Yaoqing, he rolled around with jealousy. What other advantages does a dog have compared to Jiangcheng, besides being taller and slightly more handsome than him? When it comes to cultivation, he practices 4 layers of qi, and Jiangcheng practices 3 layers of qi. When it comes to family background, his father is a factory owner, and Jiangcheng hesitates for a long time to buy an popsicle. He doesn't know how much higher he is than Jiangcheng. Why does Lin Yao like Jiangcheng? Impossible. Absolutely impossible. Chao Wang heard footsteps outside the house and quickly got up from the ground, sitting in front of his desk. Although the college entrance examination has just ended, it did not delay him from repeating on the spot. Chao Gongzi focuses on a clumsy bird flying first. After entering the password, the door opened and Jiangcheng walked in. How about it? Chao Wang's tone was neither salty nor indifferent, as if he didn't care at all, just casually asking. Jiang Cheng reacted for a moment before realizing that Chao Wang should have asked him about his confession. His mind is now full of buying a house, and if Chao Wang doesn't mention it, he can't even remember who Lin Yao is. Failed, I'm not compatible with her. Jiang Cheng said in a compromise, leaving some face for the demonic witch. Chao Wang's mouth is even harder to press than AK's at this moment. He came to Jiangcheng and patted his shoulder with great regret. Alas, failure means failure. As far as I'm concerned, Lin Yao is just average and nothing good. When you get into a key university and become the core disciple of the Five Immortals sect, why don't you choose any woman? Old Chao, do you have spirit stones? Jiangcheng has little interest in women. What are you going to do? I want to buy a house. Buying a house. Do you want to buy a house? Dogs don't even believe it. Most likely it's for Lin Yao again. Chao Wang is in a good mood now and does not point out the lies of Jiangcheng. He immediately took out his storage bag, waved it casually, and placed 2,000 spirit stones on the ground. Here, my brother's savings are all here. Chao Wang has a deep understanding of Jiangcheng. Apart from Lin Yao, this guy has nothing to spend money on, and he works hard, keeps his promise, and is not afraid that he won't repay the money. Jiangcheng is not affected either, holding his fists solemnly. Thank you very much, I have borrowed these spirit stones for now. I will write an IOU to you. We're all brothers, so there's no need for IOUs, right? One code to one code. Jiangcheng found a pen and paper and wrote a promissory note in a proper manner. Chao Wang took the IOU from Jiangcheng and found that it was written more professionally than his father's commercial contract. Not only does it contain basic information about the IOU, but it also includes interest calculation methods, various liability clauses, and even explains what kind of relics to use as collateral in case of failure to meet the requirements or cheating. A small IOU basically takes into account all possibilities. Bully. Chao Wang held back for half a day, and finally could only give Jiang Cheng a thumbs up. To be honest, being able to write such a detailed IOU is also considered a skill. Lao Jiang, if you can't enter the immortal sect, why don't you become a lawyer in my father's factory? Jiang Cheng smiled and didn't take Chao Wang's joking words to heart. He is a person who enjoys reasoning. Instead of not explaining it clearly beforehand and arguing wildly afterwards, it's better to write down the rules on paper so that everyone can understand them clearly and there will be no more disputes. However, although the money has been borrowed, it still lags far behind the house payment. 2,000 yuan is just a fraction of 30,200 yuan. We still need to find a way to make money quickly. Old Chao, do you have any channels to take on the job? I want to draw more talismans to make money. Long Tao Jiangcheng not only has a handsome appearance and decent learning skills, but also has a unique skill in drawing symbols. I have represented my school in the Quanliang Elementary and Secondary School Student Talisman Painting Competition and achieved a good result of second prize. If it is included in the level evaluation of the Talisman Association, it can also be considered as an entry-level talisman teacher. End of this chapter. Chapter 4. Receiving Orders. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 4 Receiving Orders. Jiangcheng never expected that Chao Wang's channel actually refers to the official mission hall of Tongtian Gate, one of the 5 immortal gates, established in Wuyuecheng. But it's quite reasonable to think about it. According to the worldview of the game, Immortal Gods, the vast heavenly sage continent is jointly ruled by the 5 top immortal sects of the righteous path. The relationship between the 5 immortal sects is both cooperative and competitive. Mortal forces can freely choose one immortal sect as their protective force. That is to say, if the Tongtian sect of Wuyuecheng is not well divided and allows various, irregular, places to spread freely, then the cultivators of Wuyuecheng will naturally seek protection from other orthodox sections. Over time, Wuyuecheng will change hands from the Tongtian Gate and become the territory of other orthodox sections. Under this policy, peace and stability replaced the treasure hunting method and became the mainstream in the cultivation world. The sects in various regions of the righteous path are working very hard, fearing that the turmoil in the city may lead to a change of ownership. For irregular places, efforts should be made to suppress and eliminate them as much as possible. Although it is impossible to completely eliminate it, it is obviously not easy for high school students like Jiangcheng and Chao Wang, who have no one to lead them, to find irregular places. In the Wuyuecheng Task Hall, various types of tasks are written on wooden plaques and hung on shelves in different categories. There is a litter of 9 kittens at home, unable to afford to be fed, seeking adoption. There are also those who are 1.8 meters tall, handsome in appearance, have a cute personality, and are not picky eaters. These tasks related to spiritual pets are all hung in a dedicated spirit beast zone, for easy access by cultivators who need spirit beasts. Jiangcheng walked straight into the Talisman district. The tasks posted here are mostly related to talismans. Talismans are divided into levels 1 to 9 according to their strength. The first order is the weakest, and the 9th order is the strongest. In order to correspond to the hierarchy of talismans, tasks in the talisman area are also divided by level. Those related to first order talismans are placed in positions marked as first order. Jiang Cheng is at the level of the second prize in the National Primary and Secondary School Student Talisman Painting Competition. Converted to the level of a talisman master, it is equivalent to first level and can only draw first level talismans. So he didn't even consider other areas and only searched within the first order range. Some commonly used and popular talismans are usually mass-produced by professional talismans in shops and sold in stores. The talismans that can appear in the mission hall are mostly rare or obscure types. Under the influence of buffs such as uncertain production difficulty, limited number of skilled craftsmen, low yield, possibility of being unorthodox, and not necessarily legal, rare and obscure talismans can often be sold at relatively high prices. Seeking a voice-changing talisman. Requesting the ability to change into a cute girl's voice. I have a friend who likes his senior brother. The general voice-changing talismans are randomly changing the voice of cultivators, and talismans that require directional voice changing, regardless of difficulty and requirements, will be much higher than the general type. Jiangcheng glanced at the price marked for this task. 30 pieces of inferior spirit stones, wishing you and your senior brothers, friends, and lovers a happy ending. Next person. Wisdom Talisman. I don't know if it exists, but let me ask for it first. My dog is 10 years old and hasn't learned how to speak yet. Every time I go out, I need to help him translate, which is very annoying. I want to ask for a wisdom talisman that can increase his wisdom, so that my dog can learn how to buy groceries and cook. There is no wisdom talisman, but the sleeping talisman that can make people daydream can be drawn by Jiangcheng. If this cultivator needs it, he can draw more and give it to him. Next person. Strong Immobilization Talisman. Please note that it is a strong immobilization talisman, not a immobilization talisman. Don't get it wrong. The requirement is a first-order talisman that can immobilize a person for 1 minute. Don't mix ordinary immobilization talismans that only last a few seconds. First-order fixed-body talisman Jiangcheng will be painted. Used on cultivators of the same level, it can freeze for about 5 seconds. This time may vary, usually distinguished by strength. The stronger the fixation time, the shorter it is, and the weaker the fixation time, the longer it is. If there is a cheat cultivation cultivator who uses a first-level fixed-body talisman to establish a foundation, it will be almost ineffective due to the large difference in strength. Jiang Cheng is the numerical planner of Immortal God, responsible for the balance within the game, and is very familiar with various judgment mechanisms in the game. In Immortal God, spells such as Control, Attack, and Curse all follow the principle of the strong remain strong. Low-level spells are difficult to deal effects on higher-level targets, but in turn, they can greatly increase their effects. Fixed Talisman is a mature, control-type talisman, whose potential has been almost exhausted by previous generations of talismans. A first-order immobilization talisman, no matter how optimized and enhanced, only has a few seconds of immobilization effect. If you want a longer immobilization time, you can only increase the level of the immobilization symbol, making it a second or even third-order immobilization symbol. A first-order, but able to immobilize for 1 minute, is impossible to exist in the existing cultivation system. Using physics as a metaphor, it's like asking Hawking to punch down Uncle Long in the Furniture City. If someone could draw a first-order immobilization talisman for 1 minute, then all the talismans would probably immediately exclaim. The cultivation of immortality no longer exists. Jiang Cheng originally planned to give up this task, but after thinking about it, he still glanced at the price marked on the task. 50 lower-grade spirit stones, cross out, 100 lower-grade spirit stones, cross out, 500 lower-grade spirit stones, cross out, 3,000 pieces of inferior spirit stones. Jiangcheng. Draw a fixed talisman and you'll get 3,000 spirit stones. Judging from the constantly changing prices, the cultivator who released the mission is really in a hurry. Moreover, Jiang Cheng is not worried about disorderly pricing, as task publishers need to deposit task rewards in advance in the task hall of the Tongtian Gate, which will be managed by the Tongtian Gate. There is no possibility of false pricing or bad debts. 3,000 yuan per first-level talisman is more expensive than many third-level talismans. If we could do this high-return task a few more times, Jiang Cheng's long-awaited money for buying a house could really make a difference within 3 months. Making money to buy a house is not without hope. Jiang Cheng stood lost in thought before this task. He attempted to use his experience as a game planner to determine whether there is a possibility of implementing a first-order immobilization talisman that can immobilize for 1 minute in the game mechanics of Immortal God. After all, it is worth 3,000 spiritual stones. Even if it turns out that the cultivation of immortality no longer exists, Jiang Cheng would like to give it a try. Half an hour later, Jiang Cheng came to the conclusion. If the demand of Party A is name, fixed symbol, rank, first order type, control effect, control the target to prevent it from taking action for 1 minute so there's no play at all. Under the current mechanism of Immortal God, it is impossible to achieve. But if the demand of Party A is name, tentative, rank, first order type, tentative, effect, make the target unable to take effective action within 1 minute, so Jiang Cheng is confident in drawing it out. His confidence comes from the confidence of the chief numerical planner of Immortal God. Jiang Cheng took down the mission wooden plaque of the fixed body talisman and went to the registration office of the talisman area in the mission hall. The registrar in the talisman district is a beautiful nun with a polite smile on her face. She was wearing the outer disciple uniform of the Tongtian Gate, with a blue and white color scheme as the main theme, completely wrapping her beautiful figure in a tight-fitting uniform. The inner disciples of the Tongtian Gate represent the hope of cultivating immortals, while the outer disciples represent the iron rice bowl with high welfare and high treatment. "Hello, I would like to take on this task," said Jiang Cheng politely. Most of the cultivators who come to take on tasks are not good, and young male cultivators like Jiang Cheng who are sunny and polite are indeed very rare. The beautiful female cultivator checked Jiang Cheng's documents and her eyes twitched when she saw her junior high school graduation certificate and college entrance examination admission ticket. Does he not even have a high school diploma? He came to take on the task, isn't it just for fun? Out of careful consideration, the beautiful nun said, "Do you have the qualification certificate for a talisman issued by the Talisman Association?" Jiang Cheng presented the certificate of the second prize in the National Primary and Secondary School Student Talisman Painting Competition, proving his ability to draw some basic talismans. Although Jiang Cheng's certificate is qualified, it has made the female cultivator question Jiang Cheng's level of talismanship even more. He doesn't even have a qualification certificate for the Fu-Shi profession. Can he really complete this task worth 3,000 spirit stones? This task is not accepted by many high-level talismans, which is why the price has been constantly increasing. Can I contact the client? Jiang Cheng asked. The female cultivator smiled and said, the client has not hidden any information, so it is possible. However, Xiaohe suggests that you do not modify the task conditions and rewards outside the task hall. Agreements reached privately will not be protected by the Tongtian gate. After listening attentively, Jiang Cheng nodded and said, okay, thank you. Xiaohe was slightly taken aback. Ordinary cultivators didn't even bother to hear her talk about complicated rules. When she said the rules, impatience was the best attitude. Can a cultivator like Jiang Cheng really exist who listens attentively and even expresses gratitude? She secretly noted the appearance of Jiang Cheng and smiled, saying, you're welcome. End of this chapter. Chapter 5. Rune Planning. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 5 Rune Planning. Inside the rented house, Chao Wang looked at the rushing Jiangcheng with a feeling of unreality. Lao Jiang really doesn't like Lin Yao anymore. Why did he break up in love and still feel like nothing happened? Lao Jiang is borrowing money and working to earn money. In fact, he plans to save some money and continue pursuing Lin Yao, right? Chao Wang doesn't care whether Jiangcheng uses his money to buy a house or anything else. 2,000 spirit stones are worth more or less, even if they are lost, it won't hurt his muscles or bones. Chao Wang was just worried that Jiangcheng had mental problems due to heartbreak. He looked at Jiangcheng with a calm and composed demeanor, and what he thought was wrong. It is normal for a heartbroken man to cry without dignity. And Jiangcheng seems to have nothing to do with it. This is very strange. It's impossible that he dumped Lin Yao, right? Lao Jiang. Are you really not planning on pursuing Lin Yao? As Jiangcheng drafted the contract, he replied, I really don't like her anymore. It's just that easy, don't you like it anymore? Chao Wang couldn't bear Jiangcheng's perfunctory words and said, Old Jiang, you have to say something. You have to say something quickly. Jiangcheng looked up in confusion and said, what are you saying? Lin Yao. Lin Yao. Are you still planning on pursuing her? No plans. Are you really not chasing after me? Stop chasing. I don't believe it. Jiangcheng. Jiangcheng frowned and looked at Chao Wang, pondering for a while before deciding to comply with him. Okay, you guessed it right. Chao Wang showed as expected, expression and patted Jiangcheng's shoulder with loyalty. Lao Jiang, it's not that you're being criticized by your buddies, but you still haven't taken it lightly. Women are just obstacles on our path to cultivating immortality, and they're useless except for slowing down our speed of becoming immortals. However, that Lin Yao is indeed beautiful. If you like her, your buddies can understand. Although Chao Wang has never been in a relationship, he has a lot of experience in serving as a romantic mentor in Jiangcheng. Lao Jiang, after listening to my friend's advice, the more beautiful a woman is, the more she can't get used to it. You used to be too used to Lin Yao, circling around her every day, just like that. Lick the dog. Yes, lick the dog. After finishing writing the contract in Jiang Cheng's hand, he stood up and said, Old Chao, it's getting late. I'll go home and sleep first. I'll go to the client's house tomorrow and come back to see you later. Chao Wang waved his hand. Go ahead, go ahead. Chao Wang looked at the back of Jiangcheng and sighed slightly. It is said that the country is easy to change and the nature is hard to change. Chao Wang knows Jiangcheng too well. So he doesn't hold any hope for Jiangcheng not to lick his dog properly. I hope Lao Jiang can quickly recognize reality. Lin Yao is good-looking, has good talent, and has a cute and clingy personality, which is indeed something he cannot climb up to. The next morning, Jiangcheng arrived at the entrance of Panhiyuan in the west of the city. Panhiyuan is a relatively high-end residential area in Wuyue City. Each household in the park is equipped with an independent operating spiritual gathering array, which can greatly enhance the cultivation efficiency of cultivators with abundant spiritual energy. It is an essential item for every self-proclaimed high-end residence. The housing prices here are naturally not cheap. Compared to the wasteland near Jiangcheng's desired destination, it is much more expensive. However, these price differences are limited to the present. When Lingquan is born, the housing prices around the wasteland will soar, which cannot be compared to Panheyuan. Jiang Cheng hesitated slightly at the entrance of Panheyuan, but ultimately stepped in. He is not afraid to meet the client, but simply because Lin Yao also lives here, he is afraid of encountering Lin Yao. Everyone avoids the demonic witch and has too much involvement with Lin Yao, so there is no good outcome. I hope I don't run into her. Jiang Cheng silently prayed. Perhaps prayer was really useful, as Jiang Cheng smoothly arrived at the doorstep of the client's house. The person who commissioned the release of the fixed body symbol was a 15-year-old boy named Huang Wudong. He is 7 feet tall and has a Buddha-like face. He is white and plump, and at a glance, it is evident that he is overnourished. Jiang Cheng walked into the client's house, and the rich spiritual energy brought by the gathering spirit formation made his whole body feel incredibly comfortable. The feeling of soaking one's whole body in rich spiritual energy is like a hot bath in winter. Only those who have soaked in it can appreciate the taste of it. Jiang Cheng even felt that even without meditating, his cultivation was slowly increasing at this moment. Beneficial for cultivation, it is one of the many benefits that an expensive residence brings to cultivators. Before the 5 great gates ruled the mainland, areas that were conducive to cultivation could only be contested by force. However, after the 5 great gates ruled the mainland, these places needed spiritual stones to buy. Can you really make a powerful immobilization talisman? As soon as Jiang Cheng entered the door, he was excitedly caught by Huang Wudong. Jiang Cheng signaled to Huang Wudong not to get excited, and then said calmly, if what Huang Daoyu needs is an enhanced version of the first order control type talisman, fixed talisman, then Jiang cannot make it. Ah! Huang Wudong was visibly disappointed. He held his head in both hands, as if afraid of something extremely terrifying. Jiang Cheng immediately added, however, if Huang Daoyu only wants a talisman that can temporarily stop others from moving, then Jiang is still confident in drawing it. Take it seriously. Hope reignited in Huang Wudong's eyes. Take it seriously. However, before that, please ask Huang Daoyu to describe the motivation for needing the talisman and the scene of using it to Jiang. Huang Wudong felt a bit embarrassed and said, can you not say it? Yes, but if not mentioned, the effect of the talisman may not be maximized because Jiang needs to consider your usage scenario and optimize the talisman. Of course, Huang Daoyu also needs to sign a contract to ensure that the talisman can be used correctly in legitimate scenarios, and Jiang is not responsible for any illegal or irregular use of the talisman. Huang Wudong thought for a moment, but still planned to truthfully tell Jiang Cheng. Jiang Cheng took out a photo ball and signaled that Huang Wudong could speak now. Looking at Jiang Cheng's meticulous appearance, Huang Wudong also had a lot of confidence in him. He looked so professional. I'm sure it's not the first time I've taken on a mission, is it? He may really be able to draw the powerful immobilization talisman. I am a student of Jiangcheng Sword Training College. I will graduate in half a month. There are 3 thresholds for graduating from our sword training college. Discussing swordsmanship, and practical combat. I have no problems with the first 2 tests, but I don't have much confidence in the 3rd practical combat. The more Huang Wudong spoke, the more he felt guilty. In fact, he needs a strong immobilization symbol, which is a mentality of wanting to cheat. Because the first-level talismans allowed by the college to be used in exams cannot achieve the effect of 1-minute immobilization. Using powerful talismans that far exceed the regulations of the college to assist in exams is essentially a cheating behavior that takes advantage of loopholes. Huang Wudong was afraid of Jiang Cheng, so he didn't help him draw. This Jiang Fusher, no matter how much he observes, is an excellent young man who abides by the rules and has a righteous heart. But what Huang Wudong didn't expect was that Jiang Cheng not only listened attentively, but also enthusiastically helped him summarize briefly. So, do you want a first-order talisman that meets the school's exam rules and can temporarily prevent the target from taking effective action? Huang Wudong nodded hard. Jiang Cheng knows it clearly. If he wants to comply with the rules, he needs to know what the rules are. He doesn't even want to provoke witches, let alone engage in illegal activities to earn a little money. In this world, no one understands the strength of the 5 immortals more than Jiang Cheng. Those who follow the immortal sect will prosper, while those who oppose the immortal sect will perish. This statement is not a joke at all. Do you have the exam rules and regulations of your school here? Huang Wudong was taken aback. Do I still need to refer to school rules when designing talismans? And does anyone really know how to watch that thing? Wait a moment. Huang Wudong went back to his bedroom and dug out a booklet. This is the bound edition of school regulations issued by the school when he first enrolled. This is the school rules. The exam rules are posted on the school bulletin board, and I will copy them to you tomorrow. I registered my name at the entrance of your school, should I be able to enter and exit now? In Jiangcheng's memory, most colleges seem to be relatively open. Huang Wudong nodded unconsciously and said, Okay. Jiang Cheng stood up and said, it's not too late. I'll go see it myself. I'll give you a rune design plan as soon as possible. If you think it's okay, we'll sign the contract. End of this chapter. Chapter 6. Achieving Transactions. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 6. Achieving Transactions. Under the announcement board of Tianheng Sword Academy, Jiang Cheng was holding a pen and paper, focusing on copying the exam rules and discipline of the examination room. Some common clichés, such as being late is considered a waiver, and cheating scores 0 on the spot, are not taken seriously by Jiang Cheng. The exam content is also very simple, basically an open book exam. 3 students form a small team, fight against the assessment teacher, and persist for 30 minutes under the teacher's guidance to pass. Jiang Cheng took a rough look at the exam rules and summarized 3 noteworthy points. The first point was mentioned by Huang Wudong before. Candidates can only carry 2 first-level talismans when participating in practical assessments. The use of symbols higher than the first level by candidates is considered cheating. What Huang Wudong did not say is that under this regulation, there is also a small line of supplementary explanation. 3 categories of talismans. Limited control, healing, and attack. Unconventional small category symbols such as seals and curses cannot be used. Fortunately, Jiang Cheng saw the small characters. If he blindly believed in Huang Wudong, he would really fall into a trap. Article 2. During the actual assessment process, candidates are not allowed to use large institutions such as traps, formations, puppets, animal pets, or use external forces to enhance legal props such as magic weapons and talismans. Article 3. The actual assessment time is 30 minutes. Once it starts, except for external force majeure and the early end of the exam, it cannot be suspended. On the campus bench, Jiang Cheng lightly tapped the paper with the end of his pen. These 3 exam regulations, translated into talisman design requirements, are: 1. The talismans used by students must be one of 3 categories: control, healing, and attack. It is known that controlling symbols cannot achieve 1-minute control, so it is ruled out. 2. The props used by students to assist in assessment must be small and low energy consuming. It is known that the damage of attack runes is directly proportional to energy consumption, so attack runes cannot achieve low energy and high damage. Exclude attack-type runes. 3. Both sides in the assessment shall not rest until the assessment is completed, unless one side is knocked down. It is known that students are not as strong as teachers, so teachers do not need to rest and students cannot rest. Of course, there is one final requirement, which Huang Wudong himself proposed. To control the other party for 1 minute. It requires both low energy consumption and healing talismans, and also needs to be used on teachers, making teachers with higher cultivation levels unable to take action. That is to say, the talisman master needs to design a low-energy healing talisman to achieve long-term control effects on high cultivation teachers. Jiang Cheng probably understands why Huang Wudong's mission can hang 3,000 spirit stones. These contradictory requirements are stacked together, and it's probably a matter of calculation. It has to be said that this question is too difficult for it to solve. However, Jiang Cheng had already made a fortune at this time. The nib of the pen moved slightly, and the plan quietly took shape. In the afternoon, Pan Heyuan, Jiang Cheng and Huang Wudong sat opposite each other. Huang Wudong held the talisman planning plan given to him by Jiang Cheng, widened his eyes, and slightly opened his mouth. Jiang Cheng picked up the white water on the table, gently blew away the floating dust on the water surface, and calmly took a sip. Jiang Cheng is very pleased. He originally thought that young people nowadays were very restless and wouldn't seriously study seemingly useless but actually important things such as plans, contracts, and manuals. He didn't expect Huang Wudong to be an exception. From just now until now, Huang Daoyu has been staring at his business plan for a full 10 minutes. During this period, his expression was focused and he remained silent. This made Jiang Cheng feel that his diligent efforts in drafting task contracts and planning documents were worthwhile. 5 minutes later, Huang Wudong still remained silent. Jiang Cheng glanced at the sky outside the window and realized that it was dim yellow and already evening. He promised his uncle and aunt to come home for dinner tonight, but it was inconvenient for him to stay out late. Huang Daoyu, is there anything else you don't understand? Huang Wudong hesitated while holding a business plan. Master Jiang, this is your talisman, this is your talisman. What's wrong with my talisman? Looking at Jiang Cheng's confident expression, Huang Wudong thought he had read the business plan wrong. Lower your head and take another look. Name. Muscle relaxation symbol, rank. First order type. Treatment effect. Relax the target's muscles' attention. During muscle relaxation, it is not recommended to engage in vigorous exercise, otherwise it may cause cramps, muscle spasms, and inability to move. The effect will last for about 1 minute. He is right. Doubt this talisman, it's really not his fault with Huang Wudong. Well, I don't know how to describe it. What I need is a control type talisman, but your one is a healing type. And most importantly, it also adds healing to my opponent. Jiang Cheng pondered for a moment and said, Huang Daoyu, let me repeat your request. Do you want your opponent to be unable to move within 1 minute? Yes, but your opponent, as long as he is hit by this talisman, he will be unable to move. Is that okay? No problem, but although Jiang Cheng is very confident in his talismans, he is also very good at listening to customer suggestions. Huang Daoyu can speak frankly. Huang Wudong rolled his Adam's apple and said, but is it a healing talisman? Can it work? Huang Wudong was afraid that Jiang Cheng would not believe him, so he opened his storage bag and placed all the talismans he had collected on the table. Control, treat, attack. All styles are available. Jiang Fusher, you see, I have also used many talismans. I can be considered a seasoned user in this field. But I haven't even heard of talismans of your type, let alone used them. Jiang Cheng heard concerns from Huang Wudong's words. Huang Daoyu, what are your main concerns? Huang Wudong grabbed Jiang Cheng's arm and looked excited. Jiang Fusher, to be honest, this exam is very important to me. If I don't pass, my father will have to kill me. I'm not joking with you, what I want is a type of control talisman. I have an exam in a week, and if it's before that. Jiang Cheng understood. This Huang Daoyu is afraid that his talisman will not work. Jiang Cheng asked Huang Wudong not to get excited for a moment, and then explained in detail the design concept of the muscle relaxation talisman to him. Theoretically proved to Huang Wudong that the muscle relaxation symbol is feasible. Huang Daoyu, please calm down first and listen to me. In this world, control mechanisms and treatment mechanisms are two sets of code. In order to achieve a balance between various professions in the world, many mechanisms have targeted limitations and weakening. Under the control mechanism, it is impossible to achieve 1-minute control time for first-order talismans. Imagine playing a game where the opponent comes up to control you for 1 minute and then seconds you. How bad would the player's gaming experience be? But under the healing mechanism, we can bypass this limitation. Huang Daoyu, do you understand? Huang Wudong has long been stunned. What mechanisms, code, game experience, and so on are things he has never heard of before. However, there is one conclusion that he is quite certain of. That's this Jiang Fusher, at least he can justify himself. The task of Huang Wudong's powerful immobilization talisman has been hanging in the task hall for over 2 months. Although he is a person who likes to muddle through, the preparations he makes to muddle through can be considered meticulous. The price of the strong fixing talisman has increased multiple times over the past 2 months, and in the end, only Jiangcheng was willing to take on this task. There is still 1 week left for the exam, and Huang Wudong still hasn't fully trusted Jiangcheng. Jiangcheng's thinking is too advanced. Replacing control with treatment to achieve control. Is this a way that people can come up with? Despite that, Huang Wudong has no other choice. He can only trust Jiangcheng if he wants to pass the exam. Let a dead horse be a living horse, doctor. What if it works? Huang Wudong took out his pen, signed the contract provided by Jiangcheng, and pressed his fingerprint. The transaction between the two has been officially reached. Jiangcheng kindly reminded, Huang Daoyu, you can take a closer look at these contracts. Huang Wudong waved his hand and said, forget it, all the signatures have been signed. Thank you for your trust. I will put the contract and photo ball in the task hall of Tongtian Gate for notarization, with Tongtian Gate endorsement. You don't have to worry about being deceived. In 5 days, I will complete the muscle relaxation test and deliver it to your home. Here is my contact information. If you have any questions, feel free to contact me at any time. Jiangcheng took out a rectangular and round crystal with a slightly flickering pattern inside. This is the Shouxian version of the phone. A reusable communication symbol. The two exchanged contact information and then bid farewell to each other. Thank you. Call me Big Demon _Jia, give me 10,000 coins as a reward. End of this chapter. Chapter 7. Indulging in the Pursuit of Capture. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 7. Indulging in the pursuit of capture. Before coming to Panhiyuan in Jiangcheng, Lin Yao's best friend Zhao Qin knocked on the door of Lin Yao's house. Beautiful women's friends are naturally beautiful women. However, unlike the youthful and beautiful Lin Yao, Zhao Qin is more precocious. She wears a pair of golden glasses, which look beautiful and generous. The door opened and the two girls hugged each other affectionately. Zhao Qin saw the pajamas on Lin Yao's body and wondered, did Yao Yao just wake up? What did she do last night? Lin Yao rubbed her eyes and invited Zhao Qin into the room. Jiangcheng invited me to watch the sunrise. I only went home yesterday morning and didn't sleep well all day. I was so tired. Zhao Qin skillfully changed her shoes and sat on the sofa of Lin Yao's house. She didn't care who Jiangcheng was, nor did she ask about the result of her confession. Because she knew that no matter who confessed, her best friend would never agree. Zhao Qin knows Lin Yao too well. Some people fall in love for hormones, some engage in flirtation for excitement, and some get involved in relationships for money. But Lin Yao is different from these people. She doesn't care about money or excitement. She is purely enjoying the pleasure of playing with other people's emotions. Zhao Qin glanced at the empty room of the Lin family and sighed slightly. Lin Yao's strong desire for emotional control is probably related to her divorced parents during her childhood. Since there is no internet, the information carrier of the immortal world is mainly newspapers, magazines and books. Zhao Qin took out several university magazines from his storage bag and said to Lin Yao in the restroom, "Yao Yao, I have brought you the magazine you wanted." "Okay." Lin Yao's voice was a bit vague, sounding like brushing her teeth. A moment later, Lin Yao appeared in the living room wearing a wide round-neck T-shirt and denim shorts. The spacious T-shirt revealed the delicate collarbone of the young girl, and the ultra-short jeans also revealed a vast expanse of snow-white justice to Zhao Qin. Zhao Qin glanced at Lin Yao's thigh and joked, "If you just go out and take a walk like this, I'm afraid there will be more people looking for you to watch the sunrise." Lin Yao pursed her lips and sneered at Zhao Qin's suggestion, "They think it's beautiful. I won't show it to them." Lin Yao walked to the balcony of the living room, wanting to pull up the curtains and turn the spacious living room into a private space for her two best friends. As soon as my little hand reached the curtains, I saw a familiar figure downstairs. Jiang Cheng. Yao Yao. Zhao Qin walked onto the balcony with curiosity and happened to see Lin Yao's gaze cast towards somewhere downstairs. Following Lin Yao's gaze, Zhao Qin saw a male cultivator. There are almost no male cultivators in Zhao Qin's impression that can make Lin Yao take the initiative to see. "Who is he?" "Jiang Cheng. The one who confessed to you this morning." Zhao Qiming knew that Lin Yao couldn't possibly like Jiangcheng, but he deliberately teased her and said, "Yao Yao, you wouldn't like him, would you?" Zhao Qin has made this joke many times because there are indeed many people who like Lin Yao, but Lin Yao always says casually, "No, no." But this time, Lin Yao exploded directly. "How could it be? He was strongly rejected by me this morning. I said I only wanted to be friends with him, and he insisted that I be his girlfriend. He is now downstairs at my house, but he's just not giving up and wants me to salvage his friendship." Zhao Qin showed such excitement when he first saw Lin Yao talking about suitors. Yao Yao. Lin Yao's chest, ready to bloom, gently undulated for a while before slowly calming down. "He will definitely use the communication symbol to find me later, I can't wear it like this." Lin Yao returned to the house and changed into a normal outfit. Qin, how is this outfit?" Zhao Qin had not yet recovered from Lin Yao's abnormality and only said, "It looks good." But Lin Yao pondered for a while and felt that it couldn't work, so she went back to the room and changed into a new outfit. After tossing and turning 2 or 3 times, Lin Yao looked at herself in the mirror and was barely satisfied. White silk plus short skirt plus U.neck T.shirt plus short jacket plus crossbody small leather bag. 3 parts pure, 3 parts cute, 3 parts obedient, plus 1 part temptation. The only downside is that the skirt is a bit short, about 15 centimeters above the knee. Although wearing shorts inside won't leave her naked, Lin Yao is still getting used to wearing such a short skirt for the first time when going out. Could it be too short? Lin Yao was hesitating when he thought of Jiangcheng's shameless face, which didn't care much about her and demanded her to make a written statement. "I must reject him hard later. Let him treat me like that this morning. But I can't be too harsh either. If he ignores me in the future, it will be boring." Lin Yao dressed up well and returned to the living room again. Her thoughtful attire earned praise from her best friend Zhao Qin. "Yao Yao is dressed so beautifully. That person named Jiang Cheng is really eye-catching." Lin Yao felt a slight sense of pride in her heart. "Even my best friend said this, indicating that I have indeed chosen this outfit very well." Lin Yao has been very confident in her appearance since she was young. When she meets Jiangcheng, she is not afraid that he will not submit to her beauty. "Yao Yao, it seems that Jiangcheng is about to leave." Zhao Qin stood by the balcony and said. Lin Yao ran to the balcony and indeed saw Jiang Cheng downstairs carrying them away. Didn't he come to find you? Zhao Qin asked. Lin Yao looked at the back of Jiang Cheng as she left, and couldn't help but think of the way Jiang Cheng looked at her with disdain. She has been confessed by many people, so many times that she can no longer remember how many times. Among all confessions, only she refused someone else's share, and no one else ever refused her share. But Jiang Cheng is an exception. Not only did he refuse her, but he also humiliated her severely. Jiang Cheng swept away her hand and took a half step back, like a venomous thorn piercing into Lin Yao's proud heart. Whenever Lin Yao relaxes, Jiang Cheng always comes to her mind. The existence of Jiang Cheng seems to constantly remind Lin Yao that her confidence and pride built by refusing others since childhood seem worthless in his eyes. In Jiang Cheng's heart, she is just an ordinary nun without any characteristics. Not even without any distinctive features, but rather an annoying female cultivator who doesn't want to get along with others. Yao Yao. Jiang Cheng has left. Lin Yao was a bit panicked. She was afraid of repeating her mistake in the park, but Jiang Cheng decisively refused her mistake. He's just timid, he's afraid I'll reject him again. I'll use a communication symbol. Lin Yao found a reason for herself, then took out a reusable communication symbol and ignored many messages sent by licking dogs. She went straight to the location where the Jiangcheng number was recorded and dialed it out. The communication symbol starts to flash brightly, indicating that communication has been dialed. The result only flashed 3 times before it stopped flashing, indicating that Jiangcheng had cut off her communication request. Lin Yao lightly bit her lips and flicked through them again. Jiangcheng is still cut off. Lin Yao tried to call again, but Jiangcheng still refused to answer. Lin Yao became increasingly anxious, and she dialed the number of Jiangcheng again. This time, finally connected. The contact you dialed has been turned off and cannot be connected at the moment. Please try dialing again later. The mechanical sound of Jiangcheng came from the communication symbol in Lin Yao's hand. Lin Yao widened her eyes, and Zhao Qin also froze. Yao Yao, will there still be a prompt after the communication symbol is turned off? There should be. No, right? Lin Yao said with uncertainty. But after listening several times, she finally recognized the voice of Jiangcheng. Hello, Senior Brother Jiang. Pop. Hang up the phone in Jiangcheng. The act of Jiangcheng cutting off the communication symbol was like a slap in the face of Lin Yao. And it was fought in front of her best friend. There is nothing more shameful in her life than this. Lin Yao has only suffered 2 emotional losses in her life. Once, Jiangcheng asked her to establish a written document. Once, Jiangcheng hung up on her phone. Lin Yao knelt on the ground, lowered her head, unable to see her expression clearly. But with her slender hands tightly clenched on her thighs, she didn't care even if her slender nails penetrated her flesh. Jiangcheng. You wait for me. Lin Yao has no doubt about her own beauty. There is no doubt that Jiangcheng likes her. This time, she didn't expect that beneath the originally honest appearance of Jiangcheng, there was actually a heart that could be so restrained. Lin Yao had to admit that Jiangcheng's acting skills were very good and he had deceived her. He is not an honest person at all, but a highly emotional thief who is good at playing with the emotions of others. But what about a high rank? Anyway, it's you who likes me, not me who likes you. I want to see which one of us can't hold back in the end. End of this chapter. Chapter 8. Uncle of the Stock God. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 8. Uncle of the Stock God. Looking at the communication symbol in his hand, Jiang Cheng frowned and pondered. In the message list of the communication symbol, there are daily greetings sent by Long Tao Jiangcheng to Lin Yao, such as good morning and nice weather, which Lin Yao rarely replies to. In addition to these, there is also the catching communication record just now. It was Lin Yao who took the initiative to allocate it to him. In the memory of Long Tao Jiangcheng, Lin Yao seems to rarely take the initiative to dial out communication symbols. At least in the connection between Long Tao Jiangcheng and Lin Yao, it was the initiative of Long Tao Jiangcheng. Taking advantage of the gap between waiting for the bus on the roadside, Jiang Cheng tried to recall the plot of the Lin Yao storyline to determine the purpose of Lin Yao calling him. But unfortunately, he used to fast-forward through the plot and didn't remember much at all. He only knew that Lin Yao had become a witch in the later stage and was a difficult guy to deal with. Anyway, it is necessary to keep a distance from the people in the demon realm, and now my primary task is to draw symbols to buy a house, so let's set aside other things for now. Half an hour later, Jiang Cheng got off the bus and arrived at the Happiness Garden. Happiness Garden is an early residential area built in Waiweching. The quality of the buildings is not poor, but the infrastructure is not very complete. At night, there were no street lights. However, Jiang Cheng has lived here for several years, and even with his eyes closed, he can still find his uncle and aunt's house. At the entrance of room 101 in Building 2 of Happiness Garden, Jiang Cheng took out the key and opened the anti-theft door. As soon as I entered the room, everything familiar caught my eye. My aunt is busy in the kitchen, while my uncle sits at the dinner table cross-legged studying the newspaper. Jiang Cheng has returned. Uncle Sun Qin greeted. Jiang Cheng Yingdao. Jiang Cheng is not actually introverted, but Long Tao Jiangcheng is a quiet guy. Jiang Cheng doesn't want to overturn the character of Long Tao Jiangcheng right away. On the contrary, Long Tao Jiangcheng's low-key personality can also bring him a lot of convenience. At least Long Tao Jiangcheng doesn't have many friends, so he doesn't have to deal with complex interpersonal relationships. Jiang Cheng changed his shoes at the door, and when he passed by the dining table, he saw his uncle Sun Qin excerpting information from the newspaper. With a focused expression and a serious expression. A memory popped up in Jiang Cheng's mind, and he remembered that his uncle ate official meals, worked steadily, and was not short of money. Whenever he had free time, he liked to study newspapers and make small investments. Over the years, I have invested many times, but overall, it can be considered as not losing or making a profit. If placed in A. shares, such achievements can be called the stock god. Unfortunately, Liang State does not have a stock market. After some thought, Jiang Cheng walked over to Sun Qin's side. Uncle, I think there is potential near the north of Wuyue City. North of the city. Sun Qin looked up and pondered for a moment, saying, that place is mostly barren, and there aren't even many people there. The development potential is greater when there are fewer people and more land. Sun Qin didn't take Jiang Cheng's words seriously. However, when it comes to investment, he is full of interest and is not discouraged by Jiang Cheng's views. He is also very willing to say a few more words to him. Our development direction in Waiweching is towards the south. It's not very far north of the city. My uncle is planning to invest in a restaurant with colleagues in the Southern Development Zone, offering a more upscale one. What do you think? Jiang Cheng changed his tone and said, I still think the north of the city is better. Uncle can consider paying the down payment for a house in the north of the city, so that Sun Yuan can also use it for his wedding in the future. Sun Yuan is still young, don't worry. Do you think my restaurant is better for specialty dishes or for themed atmosphere? I think it's good to pay a down payment for a house. Sun Qin looked at Jiang Cheng with an indestructible gaze from decaying wood. The housing prices in Waiweching have already reached their peak and will not rise again. This is a consensus within the investment circle, and even if there is a rise, it is still a house in the South Development Zone. The birds in the north don't poop. Unless a meteorite from the sky smashes out the spiritual veins underground, there is no possibility of price increase. The real estate dividend period of Wuyuecheng has long passed, and now even dogs are not investing in real estate. Unfortunately, Jiang Cheng is a child, not yet born to him. Even if he speaks against the odds, Sun Qin cannot say anything. Children just need to study hard. What kind of investment can they understand? Jiangcheng, the final exam is coming soon. Have you finished your homework yet? Jiang Cheng. Uncle, it's been 3 days since my college entrance examination ended. Oh. The atmosphere fell into an awkward silence. Well, Sun Yuan hasn't taken the college entrance examination yet. He's only in junior high school, so go help your uncle show him his homework. Okay. The plan to get my uncle to buy a house failed. Jiang Cheng sighed. If there were no Lingquan, Sun Qing's judgment might have been correct. But with the birth of Lingquan, the center of gravity of Wu Yuecheng will definitely shift northward. The entire city needs to focus on supporting industries around the Lingquan factory. Investing in high-end restaurants in the South Development Zone now is mostly a waste of money. But Jiangcheng couldn't persuade either. Investment is like fishing. Before the arrival of the real Air Force, fishing hooks and fish in the water are always full of infinite possibilities. Cousin Sun Yuan's room. Sun Yuan is 3 years younger than Jiangcheng, taking the Jiangcheng college entrance examination and Sun Yuan's middle school entrance examination. However, the middle school entrance examination was more than half a month later than the college entrance examination, so Jiangcheng was fine after the exam, while Sun Yuan was still working hard to study. The high school and college entrance exams in Liang country mainly rely on written tests. The application of spells is a passing exam, and only passing is required. There are too many students, otherwise teachers and schools are not enough. But in college, facing the pressure of graduating and entering the immortal gate, one must join practical combat and spell application tests. So even if Jiangcheng's college entrance examination score is higher than the university score line, they must pass the university's enrollment assessment in order to enter. Jiang Cheng watched Sun Yuan do his homework for a while and found that the boy was absent-minded. Do you have something on your mind? Do you want to take care of it? Sun Yuan replied in a muffled tone, not wanting to deal with Jiangcheng. The relationship between the two brothers cannot be described as good or bad, but Sun Yuan actually has some disdain for Jiangcheng. Jiangcheng is insecure and introverted, stuttering when talking to girls. This kind of person is also worthy of being his cousin. Are you in love? Sun Yuan's face turned red with excitement as he said, Jiangcheng. Don't talk nonsense. It seems that I have a crush on someone. The young man is still too young to keep things hidden in his heart. They all came from adolescence, and Jiangcheng doesn't plan to tell Sun Yuan about things like early love. But now there is still half a month left for the middle school entrance exam, at least let him not slack off at critical times. Can you get into the same high school as her with your grades? What's wrong with my grades? Isn't it Wu Yu Senior High School? I didn't take the exam casually. Jiangcheng decisively grasped the key point and said, didn't you just say you didn't talk? Me. Sun Yuan blushed and wanted to refute, but found that he had been tricked by Jiangcheng and couldn't say anything to refute. He could only stare at Jiangcheng, feeling that this cousin was a bit unfamiliar. I don't usually think there is so much Jiangcheng dialect, but today I took the initiative to discuss feelings with myself. Don't tell my parents. Sun Yuan warned. Jiangcheng shrugged his shoulders and didn't take the threat of the little brat seriously. Look at your high school entrance exam results. If you don't do well, then you have to find a reason. Anyway, it has nothing to do with her. Is that enough for maintenance? What kind of maintenance? We didn't even discuss it, okay? Single love. No, just like it. When you reach my age, you'll understand. Jiang Cheng. Boy, are you also a Tyrannosaurus Rex warrior? Find me a piece of paper and a pen. What are you doing? Jiang Cheng took the paper and pen, brushed and drafted a contract. The general idea is that if Sun Yuan fails to get into Wu Yu Senior High School, Jiang Cheng will tell his parents about his early love. If you pass the exam, just pretend that nothing has happened. 2 copies, please sign. This is unfair. This is the first time Jiangcheng has encountered someone who says his contract is unfair. Why is it unfair? A bet, why only I pay the price, you don't have to pay the price. This is a contract, not a gambling agreement. However, if you want to sign a betting agreement with me, it's not impossible. Jiang Cheng has always been willing to provide diversified choices for his clients. But first, I need to know, what price do you want me to pay? Sun Yuan twisted his head and said, she's not from our junior high school. She's from Wuyue Senior High School, the same school as you. She just finished the college entrance examination. Jiang Cheng's gaze toward Sun Yuan showed a hint of surprise. Like big sister. I didn't expect him to have a young body and a mature soul. But not necessarily. Middle schools in Liang country are not strictly classified by age. For example, Jiangcheng is a senior high school student at the age of 18, Lin Yao is also a senior high school student at the age of 16, and there are even junior high school students at the age of 15. At the age of 15, he happens to be the same age as Sun Yuan, so it is not certain that Sun Yuan likes his older sister. What's your name? Maybe I still know it. Lin Yao. Ah. End of this chapter. Chapter 9. Family Harmony. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 9 Family Harmony. Sun Yuan pulled out a brand new magazine from the bookshelf called Wuyu Youth. This book is quite famous among the student community, and I also saw it when I was in school in Jiangcheng. Wuyu Youth is not cheap, but the quality is very high. Inside, it is printed in full color, mainly featuring beautiful young ladies from various industries in Wuyue City. And in this issue that Sun Yuan presented, the cover directly showcases Lin Yao's stunning beauty. This demonic witch is youthful and beautiful, with picturesque eyebrows and eyes. With a smile on the magazine cover, it seems as if it brings the entire city of Wuyu back to spring. Jiangcheng remembers that although Lin Yao has many pursuers, she hasn't actually done anything out of the ordinary, hasn't made any big news, and hasn't taken the path of being a celebrity artist. Even so, her fame can still spread to other high schools. Even her cousin Sun Yuan has become her fan. It can only be said that she is naturally charming and terrifying. Sun Yuan pointed to the picture in the magazine and said, "Do you know Lin Yao from your school?" "I have seen it." "Are you familiar with it?" "I'm not familiar with it at the moment." Sun Yuan's face showed regret. But he immediately felt relieved. My cousin is honest and straightforward, and it doesn't seem like a type that can be very familiar with Lin Yao. How could someone who hesitates for a long time when speaking normally know Lin Yao? I'll leave this magazine with you for now. When I get into senior high school, you can find a way to help me get Lin Yao's signature. If I can't pass the exam, I'll do whatever you want. How about it? Bet or not? It's not difficult for Jiangcheng to get Lin Yao's signature. No big deal, just spend money to buy it. Jiangcheng doesn't believe in his fair trade with Lin Yao and spends money to buy. Can Lin Yao still disagree? The only obstacle is that he really doesn't want to have too much relationship with Lin Yao. Lin Yao was only discovered by the demon sect after entering the immortal sect and switched to practicing the demon way. Before Lin Yao entered the immortal gate, there was still a period of college time. Previously, it was only now the summer vacation after the college entrance examination. As long as she doesn't attend the same university as her, it should be okay to have more contact during the summer vacation. In order for his cousin to take the exam well, Jiangcheng decided to take a risk. Deal. Sun Yuan gave a thumbs up and said, "Hang on the hook." Jiangcheng doesn't play such childish games, adults need to have adult solutions. Give me another piece of paper, I'll write a wager agreement. Sun Yuan. At the dinner table, Zhou Wenyue, the aunt of Jiangcheng, opened the topic. Jiangcheng, which university are you planning to go to? There are many key universities in Liang country, and each university mainly cooperates with different immortal schools. The process of choosing a university basically depends on which immortal sect you want to go to, and then choose a key university under the cooperation of the immortal sect. It will be much easier to enter the immortal sect in the future. Jiang Cheng has not yet considered these things. During this period, he only wants to consider houses. It's not too late to talk about anything until we buy a house. Auntie, I haven't figured it out yet. I'm planning to wait until my scores come down before considering it. But I'm sure I'll go to Yujing. Then, let's choose from several universities in Yujing. Yujing, the capital of Liang State, is also the place with the most key universities in the entire Liang State. Sun Yuan, look at your cousin. Zhou Wenyue uses the skill, someone else's child. Sun Yuan is hit by the skill, someone else's child, causing 30 points of soul damage with a silence effect. Jiang Cheng picked up his bowl and looked at Sun Yuan, who was silently eating next to him. To be honest, Sun Yuan's grades are not bad either, but it depends on who he compares with. Compared to Jiang Cheng, it is indeed inferior, but compared to classmates, it can be considered excellent. Sun Yuan is about to take the high school entrance exam, so it's not enough to lack confidence now. Of course, the most important thing is that Jiang Cheng doesn't like to be a bad person. Seeing that he was about to become a bad person in his cousin's heart, Jiang Cheng felt that he needed to do something to change his image. The best way to change one's image in interpersonal relationships is to say words with high emotional intelligence. Jiang Cheng feels that his emotional intelligence is quite high, and he is particularly good at discovering the strengths of others. Sun Yuan, don't be depressed. Aunt is actually praising you. Sun Yuan looked up from his rice bowl and said, "Ah." Sun Qing put down his chopsticks. How about the new restaurant featuring a fairyland theme? Zhou Wenyue waved her hand repeatedly and said, I'm not. Don't talk nonsense. Jiang Cheng explained, Auntie is praising you for your strong learning ability and being particularly good at learning from others. Sun Yuan rolled his eyes. Jiang Cheng, what my mom means is, I'm not as good as you at anything, just a useless son. Zhou Wenyue said, the little rabbit is going to turn against the sky. She was about to have a seizure when Jiang Cheng calmly spoke up to explain. Auntie, Sun Yuan is willing to compare himself to waste, in order to highlight the greatness of your mother's love. Sun Yuan is really too filial. Upon hearing Jiang Cheng's explanation, Sun Yuan almost choked on a mouthful of rice. He swallowed the rice hard and shouted at Jiang Cheng with a bowl, Jiang Cheng, I don't have it. Jiang Cheng nodded to show understanding, so he took Sun Yuan's rice bowl and went to serve him a full bowl of rice. The table was silent. Jiang Cheng is quite satisfied with his high emotional intelligence words. Today is another day that has saved the family relationship. I can tell that Sun Yuan is in a good mood today. Usually, he only eats one bowl of rice. Jiang Cheng is happy to praise others. Sun Yuan didn't want to talk anymore. He felt that his family of three couldn't compare to his cousin alone. Forget it, let's eat. Zhou Wenyue secretly stepped on Sun Qing and asked him to speak a few words, don't be cold-hearted. Sun Qing didn't know what to say and stuttered for a while. Jiang Cheng, you're not too young. My aunt and uncle have discussed with your parents before that you won't be allowed to date during high school. However, when you go to college, you are still encouraged to do so. After graduating from college, your classmates will either enter society or immortality, and it won't be easy to talk again. Jiang Cheng said truthfully, I know, but I don't have any thoughts on this at the moment. I will definitely try when I meet a suitable girl. Uncle and aunt, you can rest assured. Mr. and Mrs. Sun Qing nodded slightly. Jiang Cheng has been honest since he was young. Even if he were in love, he couldn't make any romantic moves. At least in terms of love, Jiang Cheng can still make adults feel at ease. After dinner, Jiang Cheng returned to his room and found the textbook he had bought in the Talisman competition. He needs to review the knowledge required for drawing talismans again. Jiang Cheng can still easily draw talismans now. However, following the steps in books to draw talismans and developing talismans according to one's own ideas are completely different things. Muscle Relaxation Talisman is obviously a brand new healing talisman. It is not an easy task to develop it from scratch. However, thanks to the underlying thinking of numerical planning, Jiang Cheng is quite optimistic about the difficulty of developing muscle relaxation symbols. If he is completely unsure, he will not take on Huang Wudong's task. Jiang Cheng plans to use the commonly used auxiliary talisman, Stamina Boost, as a blueprint for developing muscle relaxation talismans. The increase in physical strength itself is an auxiliary type of talisman that exerts an effect on the muscles of the human body, allowing physical strength to be enhanced under the influence of talismans. Jiang Cheng is preparing to use the convenient condition of physical strength enhancement to apply effects to muscles, and add some beneficial electric shock effects to the talisman function to relax muscles. If someone engages in vigorous exercise during muscle relaxation, it may take it for granted, but unfortunately, it can lead to muscle spasms and inability to move. It is not difficult to add electric shock effects, but the difficulty lies in controlling the intensity and accuracy of the electric shock. After all, the heart is also a muscle and has been exercising vigorously. If an electric shock affects the heart and causes someone else's heart to stop beating, it is obviously not the original intention of Jiangcheng's muscle relaxation treatment. He just wants patients with tense muscles not to move around and to rest in place for a while. What kind of bad thoughts can be mixed with this idea of humanitarian care? There is no book on muscles at home, so it seems we need to go to the library tomorrow to borrow a book called Anatomy for research. End of this chapter. Chapter 10. Warm-hearted Jiangcheng. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 10 Warm-hearted Jiangcheng. The Shoshi Library is located in the eastern part of Wuyu City and is one of the top public libraries in the entire city. The library is an essential public facility in Wuyu and even throughout the entire Liang state. In the world of cultivating immortals without the internet, they will provide people with timely, rich and free knowledge. If you want to learn about a certain university, it would be a good way to first go to the library to search for information. Of course, not all such places are called libraries, and some places are also called scripture halls, scripture buildings, or academies. Somewhere in the borrowing area of the Shoshi Library, an elderly but elegant old man came to his usual seat holding a copy of the Sword God's biography. This is close to the French window attached to the wall, and the small courtyard in the center of the library is outside. From morning to afternoon, being able to enjoy peaceful and warm sunshine is his proud seat. But today is a bit different. Across from this seat, there is already a young male cultivator sitting. It can be imagined that this young man came probably very early. The sunlight shone on the young man's face, illuminating his handsome face with sanctity and radiance. From his appearance alone, this young man doesn't seem like a bad person at all. The elderly are very willing to share their seats with young people who are eager to learn and work hard. He pulled out his chair and sat across from the young man, opening The Legend of Sword God and immersing himself in the history recorded in the book. The old man's name is Bai Wendao and he is a retired professor. However, he cannot enjoy such a leisurely retirement life for too long. Because his former employer, Jiancheng Sword Academy, was planning to promote the Jia Uprising movement, upgrading from a second-class sword academy to a first-class sword academy. He received a rehire notice from his former employer a few weeks ago and is about to return to school to continue shining brightly. More precisely, 1 week later, he will appear as the invigilator in the examination room of Jiancheng Sword Academy. Bai Wendao does not dislike teaching or students, but this leisurely time is coming to an end, which makes him quite regretful. Fortunately, he had a foundation building period of cultivation and a lifespan of up to 300 years. Even if he goes back to school to shine for 10 or 20 years, he still has decades of leisure time to live. Sometimes, elderly people do need to have more contact with young people, go back to school to teach, supervise exams, and face energetic young monks, which is not necessarily a bad thing for him. The Legend of Sword Gods is a biographical novel that tells the stories of various sword gods in the history of the Liang dynasty. Some of them are high-level sword cultivators with high strength and extremely long lifespan, who are still alive to this day. Bai Wendao spent his entire life researching and teaching kendo, and for him, these high-level sword cultivation skills are no different from idols. It's just that the cultivation during the foundation period and the status of a professor at the Tianheng Sword Training Academy are not worth considering when it comes to truly high-level sword training. Just as Bai Wendao was immersed in sword and fairy, several unwelcome guests came to the borrowing area of Shoshi Library. These high school seniors, who seemed to have just finished the college entrance examination, borrowed a few magazines and sat in the borrowing area, then began to chatter about their future choices. Bai Wendao frowned. He didn't dislike energetic young people, but the library borrowing area was not a place to discuss issues. Bai Wendao looked up at the young man across from him who was seriously reading, and couldn't help but sigh in his heart. It would be great if everyone were as quiet, calm, and full of sunshine as him. The words were like this, but Bai Wendao accidentally caught a glimpse of a book borrowed by a young man. Criminal Law, Human Anatomy, Neurology, The Truth Under the Forensic Anatomy Knife. Bai Wendao was stunned. To be honest, it's difficult for him to associate such a sunny and handsome young man with things like forensic, anatomy, neurosis, and so on, which are full of the atmosphere of the underworld. The young man gently put down the book to avoid making a loud noise, and then smiled apologetically at Bai Wendao. Later, Bai Wendao saw the young man stand up lightly and walk towards the group of chattering female monks discussing the future. Bai Wendao has no expectations for the behavior of young people. After all, it is difficult for such a polite and amiable young man to have any deterrent effect on a girl who does not follow the rules. At his age, there are many people who blush when talking to girls. But soon, the discussion stopped. The library has been restored to quietness. And the young man sat back in his seat. "I'm sorry to disturb you while reading." Jiang Cheng took the initiative to apologize to Bai Wendao for his unruly alumni. "It's okay." This forgiveness was subconsciously spoken by Bai Wendao. Jiang Cheng smiled and didn't say much, continuing to engage in learning about human muscles and nerves. Learning ability is essential when working in a gaming company. The reason why Jiangcheng was able to sit in the position of chief numerical planner of Immortal God is that although excellent personality charm and outstanding business ability are essential, long-term continuous learning has also provided him with great help in constantly moving forward on the planning path. Bai Wendao became a little curious about this young man. He works in education and has met many students. But no one has the calm and steady temperament of Jiangcheng. The most valuable thing is that he not only stands out, but also abides by the rules and is compassionate towards the elderly. From any perspective, this is an enthusiastic, ambitious, and sunny outstanding youth. Except for the book in his hand. Bai Wendao took the initiative to walk up to Jiangcheng and said, "Shall we go out and have a cup of tea together?" Jiangcheng doesn't want to drink tea now, but this old man seems to need help because according to common sense, few people would actively invite strangers to drink tea. "Okay. But I need to return the book first." Bai Wendao pointed to the library exit and said, "There is a temporary storage rack for personal belongings there, and books can be temporarily stored there for now." The two of them put away their books and, guided by Bai Wendao, went to the tea shop outside the library. The steaming green tea was placed in front of the two of them, and Bai Wendao spoke up and asked, "Young man, what is your name?" The boy's surname is Jiang and he is a famous city. Jiangcheng. What is the explanation for this famous work? Jiangcheng doesn't know either, after all, this name was given casually. But when he came to this world, he felt that his name could have a completely new interpretation. City refers to owning many houses. It represents a simple wish. Bai Wendao laughed heartily and found Jiang Cheng's explanation very interesting. My name is Bai Wendao, a retired old man. I usually enjoy fishing, tasting tea, and researching kendo. Jiang Cheng saw the calluses worn by Bai Wendao's tiger mouth and said, You must be a senior swordsman. I dare not take it for granted. The path of swordsmanship is as high and deep as the sea. I have spent my entire life just peeping into the path, and I am not considered a senior. I am just an ordinary cultivator who uses swords. Jiang Cheng nodded. I agree with the viewpoint of Bai Wendao that kendo is as high and deep as the sea. The cultivation path of sword cultivation is indeed the most complex among all the cultivation paths in Immortal God. In order to balance Jian Xiu's combat power, Jiang Cheng did not lose his hair. Yes, sword cultivation is very different from traditional cultivation methods. Traditional cultivation methods pay attention to making up for shortcomings and going hand in hand. But sword cultivation is a specialized cultivation method. But it is also because of too much specialization that sword cultivation itself has been divided into numerous factions. The Royal Sword Sect, the Sword Chi Sect, and the Sword Killing Sect have their own systems, and no one is convinced by anyone. Bai Wendao's eyes lit up and he said, Brother Jiang has such a deep understanding of swordsmanship. Jiang Cheng is not easy to rely on, so he humbly said, It's just a matter of luck. Although there is a significant age difference, the two of them chatted quite enthusiastically. From time to time, soothing laughter could be heard in the tea shop next to the Shoshi library. Jiang Cheng's politeness, talkativeness, and just the right amount of profound knowledge left a good impression on Bai Wendao. Bai Wendao couldn't help but think that if he could also meet students like Jiang Cheng when he returned to teach at the Jianxiu Academy, then his teaching career after being rehired should be very enjoyable. End of this chapter.